Here's a longer, more detailed, and more emotionally driven YouTube-style transcript designed to maximize curiosity, audience retention, and emotional engagement. Have you ever wondered what it takes for someone to become so influential that a single announcement can generate millions of dollars in publicity within just one day? Not a movie star, not a global CEO, not even a luxury brand itself. One person, one face, one name. And what if that same person could make consumers rush towards skincare products, fashion brands, jewelry collections, and even canned tuna simply because they trust him that much? Today, we're talking about a man whose impact has become so extraordinary that industry experts have given it a name of its own, the Jin Effect. And his latest achievement is proving once again that his influence isn't slowing down anytime soon. Because BTS's Jin has just been crowned the #1 star most suited for a coming-of-age day perfume advertisement. At first glance, that might sound like just another fan poll victory. But when you look deeper, this story reveals something much bigger. It tells us why brands around the world are competing for the chance to work with him, why fans never stop supporting him, and why his reputation as the god of beauty continues to grow year after year. So let's dive into the story, because the numbers behind this victory are absolutely incredible. The poll was conducted by Idol Chart from May 11 to May 17. The question was simple: which star would be the perfect model for a perfume advertisement celebrating Coming of Age Day? For those unfamiliar, Coming of Age Day is a meaningful milestone. It's a moment that symbolizes stepping into adulthood, a moment filled with excitement, hope, nervous anticipation, and dreams about the future. And perfume has long been associated with that transition. A fragrance can capture memories, it can express confidence, it can leave a lasting impression. It becomes part of someone's identity. So choosing the ideal ambassador for such a campaign isn't a small matter. Voters weren't simply choosing the most famous celebrity, they were choosing the person who best represents elegance, maturity, charm, and unforgettable presence. And when voting ended, one result stood above all others. Jin received an astonishing 8,176 votes. That alone is impressive. But the real shock came from his vote share, 75%. Let that sink in for a moment. 3 out of every 4 voters chose Jin. That isn't a close race, that isn't a narrow victory, that's complete dominance. It's the kind of result that leaves no doubt about who captured people's imagination. And honestly, it's not difficult to understand why. For years, Jin has been praised for visuals that seem almost unreal. Fans have often joked that he looks as if he stepped out of a movie scene. Others say he resembles a prince from a fairy tale. Even people who don't follow BTS often find themselves amazed when they first see him. His features are striking. His smile is warm. His aura feels effortlessly elegant. But here's what makes Jin different. His appeal doesn't stop with his appearance. In fact, many fans would argue that his personality is what makes him truly unforgettable. Behind the breathtaking visuals is someone known for kindness, humor, humility, and sincerity. Someone who can make an entire stadium laugh one moment and move millions of people emotionally the next. And perhaps that's why people feel such a strong connection to him. Because while beauty can capture attention, character is what earns lasting admiration. That's a big reason why Jin continues to attract support from fans around the world. But here's where the story becomes even more fascinating. The admiration people have for Jin isn't just emotional, it's measurable, and businesses have noticed. When Jin wins a poll like this, it isn't simply a popularity contest, it's another piece of evidence showing just how powerful his influence has become. In fact, the reward for his first-place finish wasn't small. A giant advertisement featuring Jin was displayed for 7 days on massive electronic billboards in Seodaemun and Myeongdong, 2 of Seoul's busiest and most famous districts. Imagine walking through those crowded streets, people rushing to work, tourists exploring the city, families shopping, friends meeting for dinner, and above them all, a huge display celebrating Jin's victory. Thousands upon thousands of eyes seeing his image every single day. For fans, it was a proud moment. For marketers, it was another reminder of just how much attention he commands. And that attention has repeatedly translated into real-world success. Perhaps the clearest example is his partnership with the global beauty brand Laneige. When Laneige selected Jin as a global ambassador, expectations were already high. After all, his image aligns perfectly with beauty and skincare. But even then, the results surprised many people. The fourth quarter of 2024 marked the first quarter in which Laneige officially utilized Jin as a model. During that period, total sales reportedly increased by more than 30%. 30%. For most brands, growth of that size would be considered a major achievement. Yet for Jin, it became another example of the phenomenon people now call the Jin Effect. The momentum didn't stop there. Laneige continued climbing. The brand became the third highest-selling skincare brand at Sephora in 2024. Its products also experienced significant growth across major platforms, including Amazon. It's the kind of success every company dreams about. And Laneige isn't alone. Over the years, Jin has built an impressive portfolio of global partnerships: luxury fashion, beauty, jewelry, lifestyle, technology, food. The range is remarkable. He serves as an ambassador or representative model for brands including Gucci, Alo, Fred, Lucido L, Dolby, Dongwon Tuna, and more. Think about how different those industries are. A luxury fashion house and a tuna company couldn't be more different. Yet both see tremendous value in working with Jin. Why? Because consumers trust him. Because audiences pay attention to him. Because people are genuinely interested in the products he represents. And nowhere is that more evident than in the story of Dongwon Tuna. When the company selected Jin as its model, something remarkable happened. Exports to Japan reportedly increased by approximately 50%. 50%. Meanwhile, exports to the United States increased by around 30%. Those aren't tiny fluctuations. Those are dramatic changes. Imagine being a company executive watching those numbers appear on your report. Imagine realizing that your partnership with a celebrity has produced measurable international growth. That's when influence stops being a buzzword and becomes a business reality. But perhaps the most astonishing example came when Jin was announced as an ambassador for Alo. The reaction was immediate. Social media exploded. News articles appeared across multiple countries. Fans celebrated. Industry observers took notice. And according to an article highlighted by WWD, the announcement generated approximately $3.6 million in media exposure in just 24 hours. One day, 24 hours, $3.6 million. That figure alone explains why companies are eager to collaborate with him. Because very few public figures possess that level of attention-generating power. Yet despite all these accomplishments, there's something incredibly interesting about Jin's journey. He never seems obsessed with proving himself. He doesn't need to constantly remind people of his achievements. Instead, he often approaches life with humor and humility. Fans know him as someone who can joke around 1 minute and deliver genuine wisdom the next. Someone who never forgets to show gratitude. Someone who consistently acknowledges the people supporting him. And maybe that's exactly why his popularity continues to endure. Because authenticity is rare. People can sense when someone is genuine. And over the years, millions have come to believe that Jin is exactly that. Genuine. Real. Human. Even while living a life most people can only imagine. That's why victories like this feel different. They aren't simply about rankings. They aren't just about statistics. They feel personal. For fans who have watched Jin grow over the years, every new achievement represents another moment of recognition. Another reminder that the qualities they admire are being noticed by the wider world. And in many ways, a perfume campaign is the perfect symbol. Perfume isn't something people remember because they see it. It's something they remember because they feel it. A scent can instantly bring back memories from years ago. A single fragrance can remind someone of a special person, a meaningful moment, or a life-changing experience. And that's a fitting comparison for Jin himself, because his influence often goes beyond what people see. His kindness leaves impressions. His words create memories. His presence stays with people, long after a performance ends, long after a live stream finishes, long after a photo disappears from a screen. And perhaps that's the real reason he won this poll so overwhelmingly. Not because he simply looks good in an advertisement, but because he represents something deeper. Confidence without arrogance, beauty without vanity, success without losing humility, a combination that is incredibly difficult to find. So as giant billboards celebrate his latest victory, and brands continue benefiting from the power of the Jin effect, one question remains. How much further can Jin's influence grow? Because every time people think they've seen the peak of his impact, another achievement arrives. Another record is broken. Another company reports success. Another poll ends with his name at the top. And perhaps that's the most fascinating thing of all. This story isn't really about perfume. It's not even about advertising. It's about a global superstar whose influence continues expanding in ways that few could have predicted. A man whose face captures attention, whose personality wins hearts, and whose impact keeps rewriting expectations. The god of beauty has claimed another crown. And if history has taught us anything, it's that Jin's story is far from finished. In fact, the next chapter may be even bigger than the last. Suggested title: The Jin Effect is Real. How BTS Jin Turned Beauty into a Global Business Empire.